Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Murtada Al-Lawati, and I'll be your host for the first of a series of webinars and virtual meetings during the coming weeks as part of the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Globally Connected initiative. Now, with COVID-19 bringing economies to a standstill, across the globe, the way we do business has changed. The Globally Connected initiative, launched by the OCCI, or the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, aims to connect counterpart chambers around the world and enhance communication on economic development, which we believe will help exchange views and enhance trade cooperation between both sides. It will also give opportunity to share and learn about incentives and benefits, as well as exchange of views and expertise between the businesses in the Sultanate and their counterparts abroad. Think of it as a virtual commercial delegation meeting. Now, we're delighted at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry to start off the Globally Connected initiative with one of our key partners in Asia, the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. We thank all of you, Your Excellencies, and everyone else for their enthusiastic support for this initiative, and we welcome you, although virtually, to the Sultanate of Oman. For our viewers who are joining us, we'll be taking your questions. There is a Q&A session that will be held once most of the papers that are being presented or the speeches that are being presented are done. So please post your questions on the chat, and I will make sure that I get as many of them across to our delegates for today. Of course, we've got a very distinguished list of speakers, but so without further ado, let me start off with the welcome note, first of all, from our speaker today. Unfortunately, Her Excellency Dr. Sangeeta, the President of the FICCI, was unable to join us due to some urgent meetings, but we're delighted to welcome on her behalf the Senior Vice President of the FICCI, Mr. Uday Shankar, who happens to be the first ever Indian media and entertainment executive to assume the leadership position in the national industry chamber like the FICCI. He's currently chairman of and CEO of Star India and president of 21st Century Fox Asia Pacific. And recently, he's also been appointed as the chairman of Star and Disney India and president of Walt Disney Company Asia Pacific. Now, he's got a very long and distinguished introduction. I'm just going to take a short bit of it, and I will hand over to Mr. Uday Shankar, Senior Vice President at FICCI. Mr. Uday, I think you're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here in the midst of this really distinguished and august gathering. Let me just welcome His Excellency, Mr. Manu Mahwar, Ambassador of India to the Sultanate of Oman, Mr. Qais Mohammad Al Yusuf, Chairman of OCCI, Mr. Pankaj Khimji, the Chairman of Oman India Joint Business Council, and my colleagues from FICCI, Mr. Vikramjit Sahane, Chairman of FICCI India Arab Council, Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, Co-Chair of FICCI India Arab Council, and participants from Oman and India. Good afternoon. I am privileged to be part of this key virtual interaction with Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, one of our most valued MOU partners in the GCC. FICCI has had a long association with Oman Chambers. I would like to welcome Ambassador Manu Mahwar, Indian Ambassador to Oman, for accepting our invitation to join this webinar. I would also like to thank Mr. Qais Mohammad Al Yusuf, Chairman Oman Chamber of Commerce, for inviting FICCI to partner in this initiative. We are grateful to you, sir. We also have with us Mr. Pankaj Khimji, Chairman, Oman India Joint Business Council, and thank you again for joining us, sir. COVID-19 has severely tested the economic resilience of almost all countries cutting across borders and continents. At the same time, it is opening new vistas and frontiers of economic cooperation. We are confident that the strong bilateral economic relations between India and Oman will emerge even more stronger from this adversity, and we will open new areas of cooperation. We are gathered here today to discuss these possibilities. Our maritime proximity and our deep engagements in healthcare, education, defense, space, IT-enabled services will not only rediscover new areas of cooperation, but also help in the development of the SME sector, stimulating manufacturing through joint collaborations in areas like e-commerce, pharma, medical devices, entrepreneurship and skill development, servicing of oil and gas enterprises, supply of goods and services, to name just a very few. The large number of our mid-sized companies, which form the backbone of our industrial sector using innovative technologies and solutions, are looking for new business partnerships around the world. We feel that both FICCI and the OCCI can work together in facilitating business matchmaking to create new commercial relationships that will be to great advantage of both the countries. We would like to see intense development and growth in certain priority areas: chemicals, petrochemicals, textiles, food processing, electrical equipment, and machinery are just a few of them. Let me also add that for realizing these plans, we need partnerships. Here, Oman can be India's trusted partner. Funding through the existing Oman-India Joint Fund mechanism should be explored for working together in these focused areas. I fully appreciate that there are more opportunities on both sides, and there are several other areas where we can cooperate. I would like to share with you that FICCI has taken several initiatives, like organizing a virtual global event this year in the last quarter of 2020, encompassing all geographies of the world, where we will be engaging with our valued MOU partners like the OCCI. The event is being designed to have regional focus, sectoral presentations, and business-to-business interactions. We have also launched several virtual exhibitions globally. The first was the virtual exhibition on health and hygiene in June this year. The second virtual exhibition being launched is under the brand name Namaskar Arabia, which would be a multi-product show. These platforms will not only showcase Indian products, services, and know-how, but also provide an opportunity for countries across the region to showcase their products and engage into fruitful business interactions. You will soon receive information about these events, and I encourage you and urge you, your members, to avail of these opportunities for furthering business ties. I would like to take this opportunity again to thank Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing this webinar and the support extended by the Indian Mission. I look forward to fruitful deliberations during this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shankar, for that articulate welcome note. Really appreciate those words. Our next speaker is His Excellency Qais bin Mohammed Al Yusuf, the Chairman of OCCI. Now, he was elected as the Chairman of OCCI for the term 2018-2022 and is a member of many governmental committees, including Deputy Chairman of the Public Authority for Manpower Register and member of the Steering Committee for Oman Vision 2040. The list is long, so I'm not going to mention all of them. He is also the CEO of Al Yusuf Group and a member of Board of Directors of a number of Oman joint stock companies. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming His Excellency Qais bin Mohammed Al Yusuf, Chairman of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Over to you, Chairman.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Murtada. Your Excellency, Mr. Minu Mahwar, Indian Ambassador to Sultanate of Oman, Mr. Uday Shankar, the Senior Vice President of FICCI, my dear friends from the Joint Business Council, my friend Pankaj Kinji, Chairman of the Omani Indian Joint Business Council, and Mr. Vikramjit Singh, the Chairman of FICCI India Arab Council, and Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, Co-Chairman of the FICCI India Arab Council. It's a great pleasure to have you all here as our panelists and as our speakers this morning to commence our new initiative, Oman Chamber of Commerce Globally Connected. And I would like to, of course, thank all the businessmen and women from Oman and India for joining us this morning. And it comes as no surprise that we selected India to commence this initiative with, and India and Oman the relationship goes for many years, and it needs no introduction really. The relationship that Oman and India have enjoyed, both in terms of trade and friendship and historical. It actually extends over centuries. In terms of business, the numbers are, in terms of the trade balance, we're about 3 billion riyals, approximately, as of $3 billion as of 2018, and where FDI is approximately 500 million. These numbers, of course, we believe can be further strengthened and we can be further improved with initiatives such as these, by keeping us always connected, by keeping us always in discussion. And I hope with the partnership between Oman Chamber and with FICCI, with the support of the joint business councils, we can see these numbers further grow and spread and be stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sultanate of Oman has achieved, through the comprehensive renaissance led by the late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Saeed, may God rest his soul in peace, many achievements on all economic and social levels. And now, under the wise and able leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, may God protect and preserve him, it continues to grow and prosper. There have been many laws that have been introduced recently, and there are a number of initiatives that are coming our way. This gives us a lot of excitement in the years to come. There are many initiatives that you will be hearing of very soon in terms of the focus on public-private partnership projects, in terms of projects that are targeted towards improving the private sector, giving further incentives to the investors. And I think we have seen a number of Indian companies come to Oman, benefit from what as a joint venture or as single entities. But I think with the relationship we have, I think there's still room for improvement. I will not take much of your time. I have a short video, which will about 4 or 5 minutes, that has some dialogues and discussions about some business people from Oman. And I would like to end with say there's a lot of potential that we can work on. There's many options we can work on. At the end, I would like to once again thank FICCI. I would like to thank the Joint Business Councils. And I would like to thank the Indian Embassy in Sultanate of Oman, headed by His Excellency the Ambassador, and for all the staff, for all the support we get. And we are always believe that we work in great harmony and teamwork to achieve our desired objectives, to see much more trade happening between the two countries and much more investment happening between our countries. We would like to also end by saying thank you to the people of India, to the businessmen of India. We have, in the last, during even COVID, we have seen how the relationship, and despite the lockdown, we have seen that our goods and services from India has not been interrupted, and that we can say thanks for the relationship we have. We have seen that supply continue despite all the difficulty, and I think this is the base that we can only build upon to achieve even greater results. Thank you all. May God bless you all. Thank you.
From spectacular scenery that mesmerized the world, to a vibrant business climate and a pulsating economy, the Sultanate of Oman is a powerhouse. One that offers both local and foreign patrons incredible opportunities for growth. Oman is changing for the better every day. Not just the look, but the mindset. And that is the key to a bright future.
Sultanate of Oman is promising because it has reinvented itself.
Oman is rated as one of the top countries to live by expatriate community.
Recently it's been voted as the 4th safest country, one of the most friendliest nations.
The country has a very strategic geographical location and is well connected with the world by sea and air.
As far as the government is concerned, there have been a lot of investment in the infrastructure. The money that is received from oil and gas has been put back into infrastructure, so we are enabling private sector to invest in manufacturing, in minerals, and we are also enabling foreign investment to come in very freely.
We do a lot of production, a lot of paints and coatings production, and we ship it all the way from Oman to the rest of the GCC. And with the open borders in GCC and also the open political situation within Oman, it's easier for us to ship even to Qatar. And obviously when in future new markets open up, Oman is extremely centrally located.
Many incentives from the government side. Many companies actually establish themselves here because the electricity costs in Oman is one of the cheapest in the world due to the incentives that the government provides.
There is also the variety of incentives where you are able to repatriate with your profit. You are able to invest as much as 100% in the free zones. There is exemption on tariff, on machinery, raw material, but also there is waivers of income tax.
Industrial diversification is now progressing at an unprecedented pace. The focus is clearly on reducing dependence on oil and creating other sources of income. This will significantly be supported by the Sultanate's TANFEED program for economic diversification, which has targeted 5 sectors for development, including manufacturing, logistics and transport, tourism, mining and energy, and agriculture and fisheries.
Oman has taken advantage of its unique geographical location by focusing on the logistics sector. And now we have world-class infrastructure, namely 3 major ports and free zones in Sohar, Duqm, and Salalah, each providing customized solution for individual private sector requirements.
Port of Sohar is within easy reach of the booming economies of the Gulf and the Indian subcontinent, while Port of Salalah is ranked among the world's largest transshipment ports. Port of Duqm, located in the heart of the Special Economic Zone of Duqm, a greenfield project, is the new center of economic gravity in the Sultanate of Oman. Port of Duqm fulfills the roles of port authority, terminal operator, and a landlord for a prime area of around 5,000 hectares that is available to logistics, industrial, and petrochemical clients who can take full advantage of the attractive package of investment incentives.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that welcome note and, of course, for introducing the video. Opportunities in Oman are great and vast, and hopefully these webinars can make those opportunities even more clear to everybody that we're sharing it with. Up next, we have our current Indian ambassador accredited to the Sultanate, His Excellency Shri Manu Mahwar. He assumed charge of the post of Ambassador of India to the Sultanate in August 2018, and he joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1996, where he has served in diplomatic missions in Moscow and Geneva, and a number of other very high-level positions at the headquarters as well. Now, prior to his present assignment, he was the head of the Americas division from October 2015 to August 2018. Without further ado, please help me in welcoming His Excellency Shri Mahwar, Ambassador of India accredited to the Sultanate of Oman.
Good afternoon. Your Excellency Qais bin Muhammad Al Yusuf, Chairman of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Uday Shankar, Senior Vice President FICCI, Pankaj Bhai, Chairman of Oman India Business Council, co-speakers, all our friends, business representatives from India and Oman who are joining us for this program. Let me begin by thanking His Excellency Qais for starting this initiative and starting with India, which, as you yourself mentioned, was a natural choice. It is true that COVID has disrupted businesses, but COVID has also taught us new ways of doing things. And I find in COVID situation, we are actually meeting more often, talking more frequently than we used to. And this is true not only of businesses, but also of governments. Between India and Oman, our leadership, our senior officials, they have been in close contact with each other. Prime Minister himself had a telephone conversation with His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, in which both leaders reaffirmed their strong desire to work for the expansion and deepening of the strategic partnership that we have. Our senior foreign ministers have been in contact. Our senior officials have been in contact. And in all these interactions, we find a strong desire to work together. Second, I think COVID has also taught us the importance of having diversified and reliable supply chains. And COVID situation has proved the resilience of India-Oman economic partnership. Our supply chain, as was mentioned by His Excellency, have proved to be reliable, strong. They continued, and there was really no disruption. Now, India and Oman, of course, have very extensive economic engagement, and these are growing engagement. But I feel that in post-COVID world, there are new opportunities for all of us. But before I talk about those opportunities, let me say that both countries and all countries in the world have taken several measures to respond to COVID challenges. In India, the government has undertaken a series of measures. And if we talk in value terms, these measures amount to close to $277 billion, 10% of our GDP. Is to seek what we call Atmanirbhar India, a self-reliant India, an India which will seek to work more closely with the world, strengthen partnership to become self-reliant. So self-reliant India definitely does not mean an India which is going to be isolationist, but it is an India which is going to work even more closely with its friends and partners. And the confidence in India and its economy is also evident from the fact that even in this difficult situation, we are seeing big investment announcements by big companies. Just yesterday, Google has announced a $10 billion investment into India. Earlier, Facebook had made similar announcements. So in our sense, Indian economy will continue to grow and continue to expand in the years ahead. And this presents a whole series of opportunity for Omani business. Now, on the Omani side, as we saw in this video and in the message of His Excellency, Oman has also taken a series of measures to improve the economic climate, to attract more investment. And these measures are really far-reaching. We have been following these measures closely. The changes in the foreign capital investment law, the changes in terms of other laws, bankruptcy laws, changes in regard to employment situation, and these measures which are still unfolding, we feel really create huge opportunities. And whatever we gather from the context that are made, we see a lot of interest among Indian businesses to make use of these opportunities. Now, if we talk about specific sectors, then there are many sectors where we are already working closely. And I think if you go to free zones in Sohar and Salala, the presence of Indian business is visible. You can't miss them. But then there are areas where we haven't yet developed our cooperation to the full extent. And I would list 3 or 4 of them, but definitely this is not an exhaustive list. I would like to keep respect the duration allocated to me. But still mention these 3 or 4 sectors where I do see a lot of potential. The first is mining. I mean, the mining sector, I think India-Oman cooperation in the mining sector is a no-brainer. You have the resources, we need these resources. There is potential for us, in every part of this, right from mining up to its transportation, its processing, and then its export. I think our 2 countries are really natural partners. Healthcare is another sector where we already have robust cooperation, but I see again huge possibilities for expansion. COVID again has shown to the world India's capabilities. We have emerged as a pharmacy of the world. We have provided COVID-related medical assistance to more than 130 countries. I do see a healthcare sector expanding in Oman in the years ahead, and I do see Indian health industry playing a big role in that. And then apart from the traditional methods, there are alternative methods, Ayurveda, yoga, which help us protect, build our immunity, and again we have huge opportunities to work together in these areas. These areas are in any case well familiar to Omanis, and we think we can work together. Food security is something where again the supply chain resilience was obvious during the COVID period, but we need to go one step further. We need to partner in Oman's vision to become a regional hub for food security. And I think there is potential for our companies to come together, form joint ventures. There are many ideas which are under discussion, and it's time for us to convert those ideas into reality. IT is another sector, and the list is pretty long. I would really not go into each and every sector and the opportunities, but what I would like to say is that as embassy, we are working very closely with all stakeholders. For us, business promotion is top priority. In fact, Prime Minister himself, in tasking the mission, has said that we have to follow 3 T's: trade, tourism, and technology. And of course, this is indicative when we talk about trade. Trade is trade and investment. So the embassy will continue to work closely with all stakeholders on both sides. We will continue to play our role of trying to bring actors together. And then one additional point which I would like to flag before I close my remarks. We, apart from exploring opportunities in the sectors which have not yet been fully explored as yet, we also need to look at new instrumentalities. For example, project financing is something which Indian companies are quite familiar with, but this has something which has not yet been tried in Oman. I mean, there are schemes offered by Exim Bank which allow us to make use of the financing available in India. So again, these are the areas we need to I think innovatively in post-COVID world. If we are serious about taking our economic partnership to a new level. So best wishes to everyone, and we remain available. We are available to anyone who would like to use us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your enlightening words. As I had mentioned before to our viewers that have joined us, we will be taking some questions later on, so make sure that you do put in your questions in the chat, and I will try and address as many of them as possible once we come to the Q&A sessions. Up next, we have a presentation on new and emerging opportunities of business collaboration between India and Oman. And this is going to be presented by Mr. Pankaj Khimji, Chairman of the Omani-Indian Joint Business Council. Of course, he's a construction engineer by qualification, which was something new to me, although I know him for a very long time. I just got that out of his bio. and he's very highly experienced in terms of business, extensive exposure in multivaried public and private responsibilities, and of course he is one of the best speakers that I always look forward to listening to whenever there is an event going on in Oman. So without further ado, let me welcome Mr. Pankaj Khimji, Chairman of Oman, India's Joint Business Council. Mr. Pankaj, over to you.
Thank you, Murtaza. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished gentlemen. Thank you very much for being part of this first OCCI initiative, and I'm so happy that it's been with Vicky. It's very heartening that India has been treated as one of Oman's best partners in terms of trade and relationships. And we hope that this grows even further. Just about the relationship, I think Oman and India go back a few thousand years in terms of cultural relationship. Even in terms of its economic relationship, it's proven that Kalhat and Dwarka has had trading ties for close to 4,000 to 5,000 years. And it's only fair that these ties continue between two brotherly nations. I have a presentation. It's more related to what is happening currently in terms of what has COVID done? What has the oil crisis done to our nation in terms of economy, in terms of our preparation in combating these issues? But we also have certain opportunities going forward, and we've identified even more in the past 3 to 4 months. And I think it's very necessary that we share these opportunities, we share our thought processes with our trading partners, so that our trading partners get to appreciate where we're coming from and we are directly in chat with them. I'll try and put that across to you right now. I hope this is clear, Murtaza.
Yes.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, it's clear. We can see it.
Thank you. Right. So basically the relationship between Oman and India goes back many years. As I said, it's a human civilization. India's civilization knows no bounds. It's one of the oldest civilizations in the world. And this trading route has been in existence for, as I said, close to 4,000 to 5,000 years. Oman, India share a common sea, a common Arabian Sea, a common Indian Ocean. And this has been the main source of our trading partnerships. Going forward, we need to make sure that we enhance and we capitalize on the various agreements that have taken place in the last few years between India and Oman in terms of trading, in terms of science and technology, in terms of various developments, in terms of diplomatic and economic as well. What has happened to the virus impact? Yes, we too, like everywhere else in the world, had our bout. We are still going through we haven't yet peaked, and we're still going through this process. Being a smaller nation in terms of population, 4.5 million people, we've had our fair share of cases, but we've got close to more than 2/3 of our cases have now recovered. And our recovery rates is pretty decent and pretty high compared to anywhere else in the region as well. So which speaks volumes about our Ministry of Health and our various hospitals, private and government, who've been treating the patients. We've also had a very stringent kind of measuring policy now being introduced, and which has shown a spike in the number of cases, but we seem to be well within the limits of what has been the case. So we look forward to the next few weeks and from learning, etc. What has happened over the last few months in the Middle East, and not just Oman, but in the Middle East? One, in Oman particularly, we've had, after 50 years of glorious, the Renaissance, we lost His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. God bless him wherever he is. And what we have now is His Majesty Sultan Haytham, who's taken the reins and is very eager to introduce the new paradigm in terms of trade, in terms of governance, in terms of public-private partnership, etc. So, despite the various effects of the pandemic of the COVID, We hope that we will get around it to make our trading relations that much more easier going forward. The crude oil prices did plummet. However, they're starting to get stabilized at about the $35, $50, $40 a barrel. And this is good for the country because close to about 85% of our revenue is based on oil and gas. So we are very, very much dependent on this hydrocarbon resource. In terms of public debt, over the last 3 years, because of fluctuating oil prices and the uncertainty in the oil price scenario globally, we had to suffer a deficit which was beyond our comprehension and beyond something which we'd anticipated. However, I'm very happy to state that in the first quarter of this year, Oman's deficit is virtually down to a 0.5% or 1%, which is exceptional considering the fact that we've had such a lot of instability in the oil prices. So you know that the government means business. The government is very adamant that they will correct the deficit situation and make sure that the country comes out positive. So we have expenses. So we have revenues, which due to the oil prices are low. We have expenses, which are the current expenses, which are due to salaries and wages. And of course, the subsidies on electricity and water and various other commodities that we give as to promote trade over here, which need to be maintained. And hence we have taxes coming in. So taxes were introduced over the past few years. I think they've been dampened at the moment. We do not have any intention to go forward with them. However, there are certain taxes that may. But I think at this moment in time, we hope that the government doesn't introduce any further taxes, at least for the next couple of years. As far as what are we doing in terms of the pandemic, the chamber has helped a lot in lobbying with the government on what the industry needs, what the trade needs in order to continue, in order to maintain that they've maintained their economic balances in the country. So with that, there are various issues that has happened. So the biggest one that has been impacted are the conferences, the exhibitions, the hotels, the hospitality industry. Education has been travel and tourism, airline industry has been dampened. Real estate and construction, to an extent, not that much. Manufacturing, because the exports have died down. The imports of raw materials has been a concern. And I'm sure this is exactly the same situation in India as well. Retail and retail service sector took a hit during the early times. They've now all opened up. I would say 90% of Oman's retail sector is now back in operation. And we seem to be doing okay with that. The stock market has obviously taken a little bit of a negative turn, but hopefully that will come through faster than normal. Let me just go straight into what is the opportunity Oman. So I've taken 5 minutes. I'll take another 5 minutes. I'm talking to you about opportunities Oman. Oman is embarking on a public-private partnership. And what does that mean? Oman says that we have the resources in mining, oil and gas, in terms of agriculture, food security, in terms of fisheries, in terms of tourism, and in terms of transport and logistics. In all these areas, the first initiative has been taken by the government in investing in these areas. And rightly so, because they need to put the practice of investing in these sectors first in order to make sure that the private sector is also got all the opportunities to go hand in hand with them. So the number one priority, as His Excellency, the Indian Ambassador mentioned, is our food security. The government has embarked on a program to invest in agro farms and both vegetables mainly. We can't grow grain. Our soil conditions aren't permissive enough for lettuce growing grain. We've put up a dairy. We're putting up a poultry. We have a poultry already, a very successful one. And we're putting up animal husbandry. In all these sectors and all the downstreams that come out of it, we want partners, whether it's local partners or it's international partners. Anyone who has any experience or any appetite for investing in these areas, please come forward. More than happy to kind of introduce you to various opportunities in these sectors. Number two, fisheries. A huge potential, as you know, and you saw in the map earlier, We've got close to 3,000 kilometers of undulating coastline with extensive fish resources, and they've not been exploited mercilessly as has been done in many other oceans around the world. Oman has maintained its very a very conservative policy of preserving our fish resources. So hence a lot of opportunity, and we welcome opportunities on an Indian fisheries experts or Indian fishery industry to come in and join hands with us. Where do we go from there? We look at tourism. Great potential. Just to give you a thing, we in Oman, amongst the neighboring countries, has probably one of the highest average room rate. Now, there's a good news and the bad news. Good news from an investment point of view, which means it's good return. But from a tourist point of view, it means that Oman's rates are higher than the neighboring countries. But that's the quality of the life that you also have over here. Oman gives the best security in one of the most secure countries in the world, one of the cleanest countries in the world, the most friendliest countries in the world. So we have it all, and it's probably the most diverse in terms of its geographic and its topographic conditions. A huge, beautiful coastline, a weather condition which is probably 8 months of the year is absolutely gorgeous. So we expect that people will invest, people will look at and exploit our tourism potential. It's also one of the largest employers, not just for our own people, nationals, but also for opportunities for expats with skills to come and work in Oman. So there is a win-win from both sides. Manufacturing. Oman has a lower cost of finance than most of the Asian countries, at least the Indian subcontinent countries. A low cost of infrastructure, a very the land availability in the industrial zones, in the free zones is at very, very competitive rates. Subsidized, that is the subsidized land bank. Speed of implementation is probably the best anywhere in the world in terms of setting up industry, in terms of construction, in terms of implementation of the policies and procedures. Amazing. And then access to skilled labor. And I'm not just saying access to skilled labor in Oman. We want certain Omanis to work in these industries, but we also permit you to bring in skilled labor from your own home country, if they're skilled enough to come and work in these industries. So the accessibility and the permissiveness of giving this skilled labor access is also very much very conducive to industry. So we want you to consider these points and say manufacturing. So we already have some core industries, metals, steel, aluminium. We've got core steel and aluminium being produced over here. There is little or no downstream industry to take this forward and to export from there. So those people in the steel and aluminium industry, most welcome. Petrochemical, huge opportunity in the petrochemical industry. We have gas. We do have electricity. As I said, we're close to the ports, and we have direct access of ports, and connectivity is fantastic, both with India and other parts of the world. So that is something that needs to be exploited. Number 3, pharma. We have an FTA with America, which means that our products, our manufactured products out of Oman, land in America with no taxes, no import duties. So I think that a lot of countries can take advantage of this situation, where I'm not trying to exploit it, but I'm just trying to say, let's take advantage of this so-called good relations that we have with various countries. So similarly with Singapore, similarly with certain countries, some other countries, about 5 or 6 countries where we have FTA with. We're looking forward to hopefully signing more FTAs, and I hope that India and Oman at one point in time will also sign that FTA. It's something which has been on my mind and number 1 on my agenda, but it's a political decision that needs to be taken at that level. Transport logistics, fantastic location, reasonably priced in terms of its ports and transport within the country. Oman Air has been extremely vibrant in connecting Oman with India and other countries. Oman Shipping. Do you know that Oman has product carriers, one of the top 5 product carrier owner companies in the world, Oman Shipping? Very few people know that, but that's the case. It has a large investment in its shipping lines. And now we have connectivity, container shipping connectivity with India on a bi-weekly basis. So that gives us that much more connectivity between India. Our land borders, we have land borders with Yemen, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Between these three countries, we have an access to about another 30 to 50 million people in these three countries to the land borders. And we have proximity to Iran, from where we can trade in merchandise which is officially allowed to be traded in. We have the ups and downs, but Iran and Oman have had excellent relations, economic and political, over the years. So we don't have any issues with that. But when the world decides to start trading with Iran, we will be the first country to start giving you access to that. So with that said in mind, finally, mining. I think India can gain a lot from Oman's mining resources, especially limestone, gypsum, and marble. I know that India has some restrictive import taxes on marble. It's detrimental to the Oman producers, but I think if good sense prevails, if trust prevails again, we will see these taxes being scaled down so that trade can reproduce. And I want that Indian mining marble experts to come and invest in Oman's resources in marble. And there is so much construction, there's so much development that happens. The housing sector in India, the building sector in India, it may be going through a short blip, but I think that the advantages going forward are tremendous. So with that, Murtada, I've taken up, I think, just about 12 minutes. Thank you, and good luck to Oman-India relations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pankaj, for that great presentation. New and emerging opportunities of business and collaboration between India and Oman. Our next speaker is Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sane. He is the chairman of FICCI's India-Arab Council and senior member of the National Executive Committee of FICCI and the current president of the Indian chapter of International Chamber of Commerce, Paris. He is the founder and chairman of Sun Group, a leading international fertilizer and mineral trading and AMP investment company. And without further ado, please help me in welcoming Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sane.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. His Excellency Mr. Munu Mahawar, the Indian Ambassador to Sultanate of Oman, Mr. Uday Shankar, Senior Vice President FICCI, Mr. Qais Mohammad Al Yusuf, Chairman OCCI, Mr. Pankaj Khimji, Chairman Oman India Joint Business Council, Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, my fellow co-chair of India Arab Council, and other participants from Oman and India. Very good afternoon. We really appreciate the initiative of OCCI to organize this virtual kind of interaction. At the outset, I would like to pay my respectful homage to His Majesty Kabir bin Sayed, who left for his heavenly abode on 10th of January this year. May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Pankaj Khimji has made an extensive presentation on the new and emerging opportunities of business collaboration between our two countries. According to the figures available, the total trade between India and Oman in 2019-20 stood at about 6 billion as compared to 5 billion the previous year. We are happy to note that India is Oman's third largest trading partner, and Oman is also India's third largest source for its import and third largest market for its non-oil exports. So it's a very healthy kind of mutually reciprocal, balanced relationship. This shows the importance of Oman's position in India, international trade. And I myself, hailing from the fertilizer industry, I must say that one of the first joint ventures 15 years back India had was Oman India Fertilizer Company, OMIFCO, which was serving the needs of our crucial imports of fertilizers for our food security. I do hope that His Excellency also pointed out, Mr. Munu Mahavar, although I note with some regret that today is the day, 15th of July, when the offtake agreement is ceasing to exist between India and Oman. But I still hope that this product will still come to India, although through traders or through other channels. A considerable export from both the urea plants will come to India. And I also do hope that a direct engagement between Government of India and Government of Qatar to rectify this or to continue this supplies in one form or other, we will soon come to an agreement. As many sectors have been enumerated by His Excellency Mr. Munu Mahavar, Mr. Quais Muhammad Yusuf, and Mr. Pankaj Khemji, I do acknowledge that limestone, gypsum, mining, of course, healthcare sector, especially our ambassador said Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, IT, and as the 3 T's, trade, tourism, and technology. So I think tourism is a great potential in Oman. We have a large Indian diaspora there, about 80 million Indian people, and I was pleased to come with the Chief Minister of Punjab to Muscat few years back on a Baisakhi festival in an open air stadium, and the Honorable Chief Minister was also impressed by the development, the tourism sector. We went around Muscat and we had a beautiful festival. So I definitely think that tourism is a great potential for a joint venture. And today also happened to be the World Youth Skill Day, because I am on the board of National Skill Development Council. So I think the skills which Mr. Pankaj Khemji and everybody talked, we can do a lot of, there are good skills in Oman, but of course India and Oman can have cooperation in the skill development. And of course we can look at poultry, fisheries, petrochemicals, and other sectors. And another good thing is very heartening to note, which maybe most of us were not that much aware, that Oman has FTA with 12, 13 countries, including US, Canada, Singapore, Australia, even Jordan, neighboring Chile, Colombia. It's a very interesting list. I'm sure Indian businesses can take advantage of that. India and Oman are bound together by a close and multi-faceted relationship, of course, in petrochemicals we have discussed, which goes back in history, as Mr. Pankaj Khemji was telling, 4,000, 5,000 years back, from shared heritage, feelings of respect, and shared history and culture. It is in this inseparable bond that we must rekindle and synergize in the current context driven by markets and private enterprises. I suggest sustained interactions with Oman Chamber for sharing information on emerging opportunities or promoting joint collaborations and investments will go a long way in unleashing the potential between the two countries. And in the India-Arab Council, we would also like to engage OCCI more, and we are also planning, as Mr. Uday Shankar was saying, event specific to India-Arab also. And this clearly signifies the role and contribution of Indian economy in building Oman and vice versa. And we look forward to drawing the real value from our strengths to create win-win partnerships. So thank you very much for giving us an opportunity. And I think we are, as earlier said, we are interacting more in this COVID situation than maybe we would have interacted. So let us continue these interactions and exploit all the opportunities identified today with a new vigor and strength. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sane, for those kind words. As I mentioned, we will be taking some questions before we go to the closing remarks, and we're getting very close to the end of the first globally connected session. brought to you by the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry. One of the questions that had come up, and I think I'm going to direct this to you, Pankaj, if that's okay. One of the companies are asking, in basmati rice business, is there buying from the government of Oman? And does the government have any plans to invest in India under food security?
Well, I think the government has this a food security company, which is under the name of PSFR, Public Authority for Stores and Food Reserves, and they continue buying. I think the best thing would be for them to write to them if they need the address. I'm sure OCCI would be more than happy to facilitate a contact there. They keep buying and storing grains, wheat, sugar, rice, and principally basmati rice of a mixed variety, but it's pretty much there. But I'm not sure about whether Oman government is inclined towards investing in food security in India, because currently what we're trying to do, food security is something which is home growing, home distribution, home storage. So this is our first challenge going forward, is to make sure that we are self-reliant and self-sufficient over here in Oman.
Right.
And then we'll start going across, I think.
Thank you, Pankaj, for that response. I will be taking in some more questions as and when they come in. And later on, of course, for any information that you require, you can always visit the OCCI's social media pages as well as their website. Now, to conclude our webinar for today, I'd like to ask Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, the co-chairman of the FICCI India Arab Council and chairman of IRAM Group, for the closing remarks. Dr. Siddiq, over to you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I am audible to everyone?
Yes, loud and clear.
His Excellency Sri Munu Mahawar, Ambassador of India to Sultan of Oman. His Excellency Mr. Qais Muhammad Al Yusuf, Chairman of OCCI. Mr. Uday Shankar, Senior Vice President of FICCI. Mr. Vikramjit Shinai, Chair FICCI India Arab Council. Mr. Pankaj Khimchi, Chairman Oman India Joint Business Council. Participants from Oman and India, good afternoon all. It is my privilege to address you in the session on new Vistas in collaboration between India and Oman business, which has witnessed astonished response in terms of expression of ideas and presence of important stakeholders from both countries. As we all know, the two countries across the Arabian Sea are linked by geography, history, and culture, and enjoy warm and cordial relations. While people-to-people contact between India and Oman can be traced back 5,000 years, diplomatic relations were established in 1955 itself, if I don't make mistakes. Even though it is a concluding speech, I am taking this opportunity to share my thoughts on how we can re-energize the existing bilateral relationship with these two great countries. I am so happy to see the presentation of Pankaj Khimchi, that I'm so very happy to know the fast recovery of COVID-19 in Oman. Allah bless every country to overcome from this pandemic situation, where we are witnessing the biggest technology transformation enabler. The pandemic, and India is known for IT technology skill sets and has been able to establish credibility in the international market for IT and IT-enabled services, big data, fintech, e-commerce, food security, cyber security, and a lot of other areas. I strongly believe through joint initiative, we will be able to help the business environment and government to perform better, which will in turn help enable to achieving the economic vision. Understanding from Mr. Pankaj Kimji, the long-term opportunities mentioned or showed be today, though even Invest Easily platform of investment service in the center of Oman. In the first front for local and foreign investment, I would request to publish investment opportunities and strategic priorities projects, PPP, in Oman for better awareness, and we could utilize FICCI network to organize sessions for different industries across different sectors. Also enabling the tourism activities of Oman, spreading awareness of the wonderful landscapes of desert, mountain, beaches, and to visit forts. It's myself, I witnessed with my family. So mosque, souks, and swim, stunning wadias under never-ending happy journey voyage. In the past, we have seen surge in several thousands of traveling to India for medical treatment with reputed medical institutions. Now, with the technology advanced like telemedicine, we would, like Apollo is doing excellent on that, we would jointly explore providing quality of health treatment virtually and enable skill development. Where Apollo is doing excellent in India, as well Iran Scientific Development associated with Indian government for having the special body for skill development. Oman was among the world nations at the UN Summit September 2015, recognized and adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. WASH is an emerging economy and it being a Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 6, this is giant larger significance in terms of providing basic facilities in water, sanitation, and hygiene. In the current COVID scenario, it is very significant and is more relevant in terms of providing effective solutions in the water treatment, recycling and reuse of the water, as well as providing aspirational sanitation facilities to the public. We are very strong and we are working with many universities across the world, and including Gate Foundation, and develop new reactor for instead of sewage treatment plant. In an emerging post-COVID world, hygiene is of very high priority and it is the new normal. The possibilities of partnership by both countries in this front should also be explored SME and partnership in this sector. Within this national, both in terms of technologies as well as the business can also be an area of development by India and Oman. By the by, I impressed with Oman's side presentation. It's a great achievement. On the energy front, India and Oman can jointly develop capabilities in connecting renewable sources of energy, and especially in solar energy. India is going to be one of the largest solar energy under the International Solar Alliance. We should look at exploring highly efficient energy storage system that can contribute to sustainable future, powered by adoptions of the latest technologies are utilizing in India experience of execution of some of the biggest solar projects in India. At that time, when everyone is talking about losses in the business and unemployment, today's discussion has set the tone of the revival. We know the potential of Arab countries and especially Oman. Business based out of Oman have been the silent but important performance from this region. The path of recovery will be a slow and steady one. From now onwards, there are no excuses. We need to be future ready. FICCI will play an important role in facilitating companies with the relevant measures that need to be taken to be prepared the new phases. As Kimji says, Indian business teams are really happy to work with Oman in win-win situation. I hope to see this collaboration making steady progress and supporting each other to find relevant opportunities to grow. All the best to each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siddiq, for that very interesting and very collaborative closing remarks. Now, before we end the first ever session of Globally Connect, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the Ambassador of India, who is always ready and available to support initiatives that come his way. Thank you very much for joining us today. A big thank you to all the members from FICCI as well for being our first guests at the Global Connect. And a big thank you to Mr. Pankaj Khimji for his presentation, as well as, of course, to His Excellency Chairman of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Qaisar Yusuf. To our viewers who are watching us, as I mentioned, this is a series of webinars and meetings that will be taking place, part of the initiative called Global Connect that was launched by Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And to find out more, you can log on to the social media pages of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry and their website. And once again, thank you to everyone for being with us today. Hopefully, I will see you again soon with Oman Chamber of Commerce and with another one of our important partners. Thank you, and I wish you all a great evening.